Hey guys, sorry there hasn't been a video in a while. I've been working on other projects as well as trying to prepare for the Singapore Nationals, which took place last weekend. I managed to get top 4, so this is gonna be my deck tag about the deck that I brought, including some matchup guides as well as card choices and stuff like that. But before we go into those, I just wanted to give a shout out to the people that got me to where I am today. First, the deck builders. I would like to thank Ocean's Force. I met him on Talisha. We were playing a Blitz game. He was the first person I've seen to play Decimator X Boltyn. So from then onwards, the idea was really implanted in my mind. And then I also looked through, watched Josh Lau's his review on the Dust to Dawn cards for Boltyn, and there was a list there with Decimator X Boltyn in it. For Kayang, he won an armory, I think, with Dorinthia X, Decimator X Dorinthia. And so I asked him about his card choices, what he liked, what he didn't like about the deck. Same with Lu Wei. These two people are people who are quite knowledgeable in terms of Decimator X Dorinthia. And so these are the people that I went to ask and understand the card choices and stuff. Like I remember asking Kayang about how and he told me that Spillblood was completely trash in the deck, which I just took his word, and then I just didn't test it at all. While Lu Wei, I think I really, it's very nice to have people to confide in that won't go and spread like your deck to other people, especially since I'm playing Boltyn and I'm playing a niche within a niche, because when you look at Boltyn, you think about Radiant, you think about Hybrid, you don't think about Decimator X. So I do feel that these people, having people to talk to that you trust really helped me in the entire preparation process. Last but not least, I really, this deck would not be possible if not for Fenfei and Yongtek. Fenfei gave me a lot of advice regarding the card choices, regarding what to sideboard in, what to sideboard out, the different matchups. He gave me a lot of encouragement. I think he's a master deck builder, right? So anything that came from him, his agreement on the certain card choices I made, or like how to play certain matchups, really gave me the confidence to bring this deck to nationals. As for Yongtaek, he is the fatigue master in Singapore, having an obscene amount of reps into I think in like OHIM and stuff like that. So he was the person I went to ask about how to play Fatigue Boltyn, because he is very knowledgeable in that aspect, and I couldn't have learned from anyone better lah. I mean, yeah, and honestly, if I didn't know how to play Fatigue, and if he didn't really give me a lot of advice, or like he gave me so much to think about, so much to regarding sideboard options, whether to bring in Steel Blade Chance, whether Hold the Line was bad, which it is, but okay, we'll get to that later. But yes, and a lot of really every time I overthought about a card choice, or every time I overthink, or overvalue, undervalue cards, or like have questions about certain matchups, how to play, how to actually play Fatigue. Am I playing my healing spells, or am I trying to go for Fatigue by damage? Like, these two people are the people I immediately go to and ask, and they are always open to giving me advice and helping me get that confidence I need to bring the deck to nationals. So I, once again, huge shout out to them. This deck will not be possible. My performance will not be possible if it wasn't for these two people. Okay, next we're gonna go to the playtesters. So these are a couple of people in my local community that I went to try and test, or at least ask questions about regarding the matchup. The two that are not from my community are Baza and New Leopard. They are the people I find on Talisha, and they were very nice. I heard Baza's like a pro Bravo player, so yes, I was very blessed to be able to ask him questions regarding the Bravo matchup, same as Mike Tong, who was also on Bravo and who I consulted regarding the matchup. Following that, yeah, these people are people that I could trust with the deck, that I went to and asked to test with, fully knowing that like I could trust and I didn't have to overthink whether they would share the deck or whether they would discuss about it and tell their friends about it regarding the deck. Yeah, I think when it comes to playing Boltyn, right, you, because the deck itself is already so disadvantaged, the matchup knowledge that you need is way more crucial in these decks, because like for Lexi, maybe I'm just stereotyping, but a lot of the matchups are just shooting your arrows. But for Boltyn itself, you really have to understand and know what every single card does and try and understand the game plan, because the deck itself is already in shambles. You can't use the deck to its fullest efficiency if you don't know what your opponent is doing. So yeah, these are the people that I went to for advice, went to for matchup guides and stuff like that. Yeah, and who they openly share with me and they openly test with me, and yeah, they really helped me out. And I never had to like overthink about, are they giving me good advice, or like are they just telling me this so that they would, I don't know. Yes, I overthink a lot. But yeah, moving on, we're gonna go to our special thanks. I think the names are not repeated, right? So like people like Fen Fei and Jun Qian and like oh, hang on, Fen Fei is repeated, but like people like Yong Taek and Fen Fei are, they fit into every single one of these categories. So like yes, okay, but like special thanks, like I might not necessarily have played with them, but these people are people who I could go to for emotional support, or like when I feel like shit, or when I'm not confident in my abilities. These people are people who encourage me, who like have my back in a sense. Yeah, shout out to my opponents who were very patient with me. um I think that I was very nervous during the final few rounds before the top cut, and then I was like taking the graveyard from Zach's graveyard without asking for permission, and then I realized I was just becoming an ass. So yeah, and he was very patient with me. I'd like to shout out the judges Wen Guang and Andre. Like I asked Wen Guang so many judge questions that was so dumb. Like, does hold the line trigger at the start of the turn in round 0? Because we all just drew up to 4, right? Right? It doesn't. I asked Wen Guang if I could ask the judge for like to tell me the name of the card if I could describe it for censor and stuff like that. People like Eugene and Isaac and Kelvin, like they really, and Reno and Berlin, they just encourage me, like whenever I share with them like, oh, I don't think I can do it or whatever, these are the people that support me, giving me encouragement. And honestly, I really needed that lah. So yeah, thanks. If I missed out any names, I apologize, but yeah, these are the people that have really supported me in my journey. And with that, let's start with why X Boltyn instead of hybrid / Radiant. So, to answer the question, let's look at Dustodon support. Was it excellent? No. Apart from the bannerets, which number 1 reduces the charge cards in the deck, which is like, so sometimes you can't even charge on that turn. Number 2, it didn't answer Boltyn's fundamental problems, which was against ice. So when it comes to Lexi, you have Arctic Incarceration, Winter's Bite. They are no longer fuseless, right? So those prevent you from going off with the combo. Codex of Frailty, any Frailty token that they give you, minus 6 damage in your combo turn, because you're swinging 6 times with a double Lumina. Inertia, Codex of Inertia means that you can't really keep the Lumina in the arsenal because it's just going to go away, and then you have to rebuild your combo again. And the amount of damage they output is just obscene, to the point that yes, it's possible to combo, but even after that, when you try and take tempo back, they just don't block, and then they just kill you the turn after you combo. With Iyslander, every single card in there that counters us, like seriously, what's there to say about it except it's yeah. So with that, Oh yes, and then there's special mention of Bravo with Starstruck. So that matchup was before Dusk to Dawn was in our favor, but ever since they got Starstruck, they had to put more D-Reacts in, um, and now they have more on hit effects that actually matter, which brought our win rate down to about, I would say, 40-60 if they are the aggressor. So yeah, with that in mind, I didn't really feel like bringing Hybrid or Raidin or Centauri Sabers would be great into the current meta. Yep. Next, why Boltyn instead of like Axe-Dorinthia, for example? To be very honest, I truly believe that Axe-Dorinthia is the better option. Yes, and I think Josh Lau has a very great deck tech about Axe-Dorinthia and stuff. So if you guys are looking to really min-max your performance and are looking for a great deck to build with the Decimator X, I would suggest going for Dorinthia. It has a higher, more aggressive ceiling. The hero power lets you hit one more time. Just do take note that the X only triggers once a turn, which means if you halved it on the first attack, the second attack wouldn't have the effect. It still plays Supremacy and stuff like that. So Dorinthia has more access to aggressive cards, and it can hybrid like play Dawnblade and stuff for a better matchup spread. So yes, I truly believe when people ask me why you on Boltyn instead of Dorinthia, the only answer I could give them was I just like Boltyn and I main Boltyn, and I didn't really want to bring something that I was. Yeah, it's a bit of hero pride. No, not a bit. It's mostly hero pride. Like, I want to win with Boltyn. I don't really want to win with Dorinthia. So with Boltyn, there are some stuff that Boltyn has access to that Dorinthia doesn't. He has Soul Shield, more defensive cards. In general, just more access to light cards, which I think you'll see in the next slide. He is also less well known. With Dorinthia, you could kind of guess, oh, is she on Dawnblade or is she on Decimator X? With Boltyn, you have to guess, is he on Raidin? Is he on Sabers? Is he on Hybrid? And honestly, what I did was for the the month before Nationals, I just brought Hybrid to every single armory because I knew that the purpose of bringing X, one of the main advantages, the fundamental strength of the deck is that nobody knows what the deck is, and nobody knows that as Boltyn they wouldn't think that it would be Decimator X, and so it was very important for me to not reveal that to a lot of people, which was why I am really grateful to those that I play tested with and talked about the deck with, because like there are people I can confide in, and there are people who, while I cannot playtest a lot in the local meta, there are people who I trust to talk to about the deck, and I trust that wouldn't like spread the deck and stuff, because my performance in Nationals was mostly because for the first 3 CC rounds, right, it was legitimately because none of them knew I was on X, and so the Azaleas didn't bought in more stuff, and yeah. And to be fair, my matchups in the first 3 CC matches were pretty decent matchups. Levia, Azalea. So yeah, I built this deck to counter Lexi and Iyslander, but I totally didn't meet them. And when I did meet them at the later end of the tournament, I lost to them. So I really don't know what I'm doing. So yes, take my words with a pinch of salt. Yes, it might not be an optimal deck right now. Yeah, so access to light card, less well known, and honestly, I love Boltyn. Like, I don't foresee myself bringing any other hero to a tournament ever. Yeah. Okay, moving on. So Boltyn, Soul Shield. Another card that he has access to is Radiant Flow, which is once again more defensive option. I think Dorinthia has the boots that block for 1 and then gives the sword attack go again if it hits, right? But seeing as Boltyn doesn't have the ability to swing the X one more time unless you use Duskpath Pilgrimage, which was a consideration at a point in time. The Radiant Flow here really helps. Radiant Flow really pairs well with Soul Shield to help prevent 2 damage. So it's a block 2 equipment, not just a block 2 equipment. It's a block 2 equipment at instant speed, and carries forward because you prevent the next 2 damage that will be dealt. So I can block 2 breakpoints with it. And last but not least, it also gives us access to Cleansing Light, which is quite decent into Iyslander. Not into the godlike Iyslander that Chu Heng is, but I do believe that Cleansing Light is a key factor into beating Iyslander when it comes to that matchup, and when it comes to less experienced Icelanders or like a less prepared Iyslander, because they don't, it isn't a very well known card. Boltyn isn't a very well known hero as well, and being able to just destroy the Frost Hex and then just stall it out and just deck them out because they run out of threats is the game plan that I've been testing with a lot of people on Talisha. But to be fair, Talisha's Iyslander are sometimes questionable. So yeah, I do encourage you to give that a try. With that, let's move on to the actual card choices. So this is the general deck. Okay, first things first, the hit piece, Skullcap. I mean, there is an option to play Crown of Providence. It really helps you smooth out your arsenal and stuff like that. But the reason I play Skullcap is not only does it block with 1 more life, and there's also a theory about having AB5 into Iyslander that Fernfei suggested, and I didn't listen because I didn't know how to play that. So yes, okay. But the reason I chose to put Skullcap instead of a Crown was because I don't think I have the discipline to play Crown. Crown really incentivizes or like encourages you in certain ways to put a more aggressive option like a route or a Felling Swing or a Sharpened Steel in Arsenal, because you have the out of just cycling it away if you can never play it. But I feel like opening myself up to that possibility makes me play more recklessly. I put random cards in there and then I just use Crown because I have to, otherwise it clogs up my arsenal and stuff like that. So I believe Skullcap really helps to instill that discipline. But yeah, I could see why you would choose to play Crown instead. It's just a personal choice, and I know that if I had Crown, I would put aggressive options in the arsenal and then Crown it away and then waste that block just because I chose to put an aggressive option in the arsenal. The Axe, let's read through this. The first time, which is the main weapon of the deck, right? I don't have any other weapon. The first time this is defended by a non-equipment card each turn, I halve the base of target defending card rounded up. So if you block with a 3 block, I halve it to 2. If they block with 2 cards that block 3, I halve 1 to 2. Then they just block for 5. Okay, crucially, this can target equipment if they were to block with an equipment and a non-equipment card. So let's say if they block with a Crater Fist and a 3 block, I can target Crater Fist, halving it to block 1, and then after they put the -1 counter on it, it goes to 0 and it pops. So Decimator, in a way, one of the secret ways to use it is to target the Temper equipment, because that way at the end of the combat chain it explodes. Because it can target the Temper equipment if it is blocking with another card. Okay, then Tunic, there isn't a better chess piece option. There is a Courage of Bladehole and there is Soulborn Resolve. The reason I use Tunic is because a lot of my D-Reacts cost 1. Oasis Respite, Steelblade Shun, which is one of the best, like Dorinthia and Boltyn, the warriors in general have very good access to defense reactions, even more efficient than Guardian, I feel, like, because it's tunicable. So yeah, Oasis, okay, don't take my word for that, okay, I don't know how Guardian plays, but yeah, Oasis and Steelblade Shun, as well as Sensor, which we will get to later. Yes, I have written in bold in my matchup guide to don't forget Tunic, because if you forget Tunic, then it just becomes a $300 card just becomes a $0 card because it's an Iron Rod plate, you know. Next, Iron Song Versus. I know this is a very controversial choice. A lot of people ask me why Versus, especially when it says your next sword attack this turn gets, when this hits a hero, you create a Courage token, so it's a sword attack and the Axe isn't a sword. So why Iron Song Versus over Courage of over, let's say, Brave Forge Braces, for example? The reason for Versus is the cycling effect. I don't care about the Courage token. I care about the fact that I can pitch 2 blues and swing the Axe instead of just keeping a blue in hand. So it lets me cycle the deck. it lets me if I have two red D-Reacts in hand and I don't want to keep both of them, I can sync it to Iron Song Versus. So that syncing effect is what I really value in the deck. Of course, having it means that your Dash and your Uzuri matchup gets worse because of your Shreds and your T-Bone. But I'm okay to take the hit, especially when our matchup against Uzuri is pretty favored. Especially if they don't know what you are, because they'll go with Spider's Bite and no Scalpel, and you're just fatiguing them, so they can't throw the dagger with Flick Knives. Or if they do, then it makes your fatigue plan easier. And with T-Bone, Dash is one of our worst matchups, so I'm just giving up more percentage in that worst matchup, which I'll probably never win. I did scoop to the last Dash without even playing, because I knew like as soon as Dash knows that you are on this, they just set up their gun and then shoot you to death, and there's nothing you can do about it. So like, yeah, I don't really care about giving up the Dash matchup. So yeah, you can T-Bone it. I'm very fine with it. Yeah. So yes, Iron Song Versus is a better. I mean, if you're on Dory X, yes, Brave Forge Braces all the way, sure. But when it comes to Boltyn, when we can't use the Brave Forge Braces at all because we can't swing again, I strongly believe that Iron Song Versus is the correct arm piece of choice. And Radiant Flow we covered before. It covers 2 breakpoints. It can cover double Kodachis. And it's an instant speed, which means Art of War, Ancestral Empowerment, breaking skills, or whatever +1, it really helps to negate. Rain Razors, for example. Yeah. Alright, that's the equipment suite. We also run Narun Boots, Narun Gloves, Narun Hood for the Iyslander matchup. Okay, moving on to card selection. We have your staples, CNC and E-Strike. They are kind of our only aggressive option. The reason why I'm not running charge cards is because this deck, the only reason you want to charge with Boltyn is to get value from Radiant or combo. And in this deck, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to fatigue. And charging is a source of self-fatigue because I'm putting a card in soul, right? So that doesn't really make sense. So the only cards that trigger the Radiant flow is the Soul Shield. Okay, so CNC, E-Strike, pretty good staples in the deck. CNC always there for the Rangers and stuff. E-Strike is something I want to look at. So with E-Strike, the most chosen mode is either +2 or go again. I haven't chosen draw a card ever. And that's because I want to make sure the card that I draw is good to put in the arsenal. And if it isn't, then I might as well just +2 or go again. Okay, the reason why E-Strike is pretty good in this deck is because of the +2. So, because we are not charging any cards, Boltyn's ability is literally irrelevant the entire game, except for when we have E-Strike or a buff card. So, looking at Boltyn, it says attack reactions, banish a card from Boltyn's soul, target attack with greater attack that its base gets go again. It doesn't say that you had to charge that turn. So what catches people off guard is E-Strike for 7, give it go again into an X. For 11 damage, 3 cards. Or E-Strike for 7, E-Strike for 7, but you got to get pretty lucky with that. But the highest damage output of this deck is Felling Swing for 10. Pitch a blue, Felling Swing, pitch a blue X into 10X, and then giving go again to E-Strike for 7. So that's about 17 damage. Yeah, with the that's the highest output of the deck, and that's pretty low for I mean, Boltyn's output is really pretty low. This is reasonable for Boltyn, so we'll leave it at that. Card choices that are something that you might want to consider taking out. Sensor. So reason I play Sensor is because it's a freaking fun card. Can you imagine when you hit and then you look at your opponent and then you big brain them and you name the card in their hand that they really want to play. It's so fun, and it really generates a lot of I think that's what I like about Flesh and Blood. You know, it helps me lighten the mood a little. Guess the card, and then if I guessed it wrong, I laugh and stuff like that. And it has a lot of puns that I can make with it, like, oh my god, why are you so sensitive? Ha ha ha. and like asking them to shh and asking them to keep quiet. Yeah, cause the art is yes. So yeah, it's a very fun card, but it really needs you to use it effectively. It really requires you to know every single card in every single person's deck that are relevant, like the key cards and stuff like that. So as if you're a new player trying to play this deck, I wouldn't suggest it because number one, this deck really needs to block. And knowing what to block and how to block is the entire purpose of the deck. And if you don't know that, then the deck isn't gonna work. In the same vein, if you're a new player or like you just came into, you don't know what every single card in other people's deck does because you only play you don't really have time to commit, you don't have a lot of time to commit to the game, you don't like, yeah, so not a lot of game experiences and stuff like that. Censor would probably be a detriment in the deck because you have to name a card out of the entire pool of the opponent's cards, so you really need to know what they are, what are their key cards. For example, Rain Razor or like Eta Vein for Iyslander, Art of War, Razor Reflex and stuff like that. It's a very freaking fun card. I would encourage all of you to try it. Is it the most efficient pick? I think for in this case, yes, because this could, a lot of people play Cleave instead, which is a 1/4 on hit destroy an ally. Giving your X +4, and the next time it hits, it destroys an ally. But the problem with that is that requires a 2-card hand. You need a Tunic for Cleave and you need a Pitch for the X. And half the time, or like at least 90% of the time, I want to be able to block with that card and then just play a 1 card. So yeah, also another reason is because buff cards are not necessarily worth it. I'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, Censor, it's one of my favorite cards. I really encourage you guys to try it. If it doesn't work, you can just switch it to another red block 3, Humble, or like, yeah, red block 3. Okay, moving on. Buff cards. Felling Swing. Your next X attack gets +6 and you have Sharpened Steel. Your next weapon attack gets +3. I don't believe these charge cards are not charge cards. These buff cards are. I don't prioritize playing them. If I can block with them, I'll block with them. If they get an off turn, then I would use them. But the reason I say that buff cards are completely not worth is because, okay, let's look at Sharpened Steel for example. Sharpened Steel gives you attack +3 and it lets you swing a weapon, so it becomes 7, right? So if they block with 2 cards, they block for 3. One of them is halved, so now they block for 2 and 3. They'll take 2 damage. So Sharpened Steel essentially give you 2 damage for 1 card. If you look at it another way, if I block with Sharpened Steel, I get 3 life because it has a defense value of 3. So the attack value of Sharpened Steel, or the attack efficiency of Sharpened Steel, isn't very is 2, while the defense value of Sharpened Steel is 3. Just because of how the X works. So I would much rather block with Sharpened Steel. So yeah, I would suggest when you're playing this deck, don't prioritize trying to swing back, because this deck really relies on playing a different. There are 2 kinds of fatigue, right? A passive fatigue, or like what is the other one called? Okay, it's more of like damage by fatigue by damage or fatigue by deck. And what this deck really wants to do is just block, let you run off cards, and then I just X you. And the X swing is efficient enough to always strip cards from the deck. Instead of we're not trying to trade and rush down. That's not us. That's Boltyn is too inefficient to do that. Okay, so if you see Sharpened Steel, if you see Felling Swing, if you're playing, just block with them, and then you just want to pitch a blue to swing the X if you want to. But even if you can't do that, blocking is way more important than doing anything else in the deck. Okay, followed by that you have Route, which is another buff card. I've never killed anyone with it. I think it's just a fun thing to put in the deck as a one-off. Another consideration here is you never arsenal buff cards, never in your life. Okay, it gets stuck there. You don't know what to do with them because but arsenaling buff card means that you have to keep more cards in hand the next turn to push damage when your entire game plan is to block. So buff cards are horrible in the arsenal. I have all the times I've arsenal route I've lost, and I've been scarred by it. So don't arsenal buff cards, especially route, because it takes a 2 card. Healing Balm and Sunkiss. So these really help you to increase your life total when it comes to the Iyslander matchup, or when it comes to a Lexi matchup, because you're trying to fatigue by deck, right? So you're just trying to gain life and taking all the cards that have no on hits, like maybe Drill Shot when all your equipment is gone, or Bolt and Shot and stuff like that. So or Remorseless even. So like these cards help to because like they give you very awkward breakpoints, right? And Lexi hits for 5, for 4, and stuff like that. These theoretically are cards that spread out the damage and gain you back the life. So yeah, the reason why you at first I was looking at other Fatigue Oldhim list, and I was wondering how come they run 2 Healing Bomb and 1 Sunkiss. And then I realized it's just because it makes it easier to pitch stack or something, you know, like they keep track. Oh, if I pitch the Sunkiss and I see a Healing Bomb, then yeah. Yeah. I don't think this deck does pitch stacking very well. I don't know why I would pitch stack in this deck unless like I don't know. I'm not that high level to pitch stack. So yeah, there are just 3 cards. Maybe it gives the illusion that I run 3 Sunkiss and 3 Healing Bombs and 3 Sigil of Solaces, but that's just that's just me being delusional lah. So yeah, healing. We can talk about the D-Reacts, Fate Foreseen, Sink Below. They're your usual D-Reacts. What you have to take note is that if you're planning to swing X and you have a blue in hand, you don't sink. Like you don't put a card to the bottom. Fate Foreseen is always used to dig for life gain. Sink Below can also be used to dig for life gain. Sink Below also helps to make your hand smoother in case you have cards like Remembrance in hand, or like Oasis Respite without tuning up and stuff. So yeah, they cycle those. Soul Shield, it's not a it's the same as a Steel Blade Shun, except that you have to pitch for it, but the returns, I cannot emphasize how much the value Radiant Flow is when it comes to Soul Shield. The additional value of Radiant Flow, the additional value of being able to give your E-Strike go again, or being able to like E-Strike for 7 go again, or being able to buff the X swing, give it go again to gain life from Healing Balm or Sunkiss. Yeah, Soul Shield is one of the key cards in the deck that helps to really push the deck into being able to make more efficient plays or block better. And it's and because it's a 2 cost, right, I can pitch it and play Oasis Respite, I can pitch it to play Steel Blade Shun, I can pitch it to pay for a Frostbite, I can pitch it to pay for the stupid Frostlock nonsense that Iyslander runs. Okay, and then I think that's it. Yep, we're moving on to the blues. So when it comes to the blues, it's pretty how do I put it? It's pretty basic. You have your This Round's on Me, which came in handy in the Katsu fight because -1, so they can't Kodachi you to death. Warmonger's Diplomacy, which I have never known how to use, and I really don't think this is a crucial card in the deck. You just need to find a 3 block 3, a 3 pitch block 3. Like, have I played this at all in the tournament? No. So I just paid like $50 per card just to block with it. I don't know why, but yes, it's there for the Azalea matchups, I guess. Okay. Last ditch effort, every Fatigue deck runs it, so it's pretty good as a late game to finish off the game if you're running out of deck of cards. It's a 8 into 8. Okay. Now we're moving on to the attack reactions. So I know there are some people who are wondering, right? There's Out for Blood, there is Iron Song Determination. Like most of the buff cards for Warrior are all focused on one-handed weapons or focused on the sword. So there are very limited options when it comes to Axe. So the reason why we don't run Iron Song Determination blue, or we don't run Out for Blood blue, is because of this. Out for Blood blues, let's take a look at it. Let me see if I can pull it up. Out for blood. Yeah, actually I can just remember now. Let me legal in Boltyn, defense 3, pitch 3, search. Okay. So these are all the cards available in the Boltyn deck that we can use, right? Biting Blade. It's already in the deck. The reason, the main thought process behind choosing the blues is what blues can I use to leak damage? And because if they block with 2 cards, they're blocking for 5 most of the time. Cards that buff by 2 are better than buffing by 1, because if I Iron Song Determination a 5 block, it's still gonna be 5. It's not leaking any damage. So cards like Biting Blade, cards like let's see, Biting Blade. So Iron Song Determination is another card. My bad. Iron Song Response. Yes, can you tell I don't play Dorinthia? Iron Song Response +1. This does nothing when they block with 2 cards. Out for Blood does nothing when they block with 2 cards because it says the next attack gets +1. I don't have a next attack. I'm not swinging again. Overpower is great. 8+4 for so it's very good in the late game if you're trying to close the game. Yeah, so as you can tell, there's not a lot of good blues in the X deck that you can use as compared to Dorinthia. Most of them ask you to play beforehand. Like the +1 doesn't matter because if you're gonna block 2, they're gonna block 2 cards, you know? Dust Pass Pilgrimage might come in handy, but the thing is you have to give up a soul for it, and I would much rather use the soul for Radiant Flows, E-Strikes, and other more important stuff than the Dust Pass Pilgrimage to swing again. If you don't have Warmonger's Diplomacy, Burdens of the Past is quite okay. It's just a 0 block 3, pitch 3. I don't run charge cards, and they are quite a liability when it comes to codexing and when it comes to Zuri and stuff like that. So no charge cards. There aren't a lot of options when it comes to buffing your cards. Yep, which is why these are the cards I choose. Overpower. Stroke doesn't buff +2, but it lets you cycle your hand to dig for life gain, which I guess is okay. Plow Through is a card that I found from Monarch Draft. I mean, it has never been considered in every deck, I believe, but Plow Through, what it does here is that it lets you play Boltyn. Yes, when this is defended by an attack action card, it gets +1. It gives +1 as its base. So once again, the +2. So if they block for 5 with 2 cards, they block for 6, it gets half to 5. They block with 2 cards. Boltyn gets the X already swinging for 5. Because they defended with an attack action card, it leaks 1 damage. So it's good. It's a +2. It's not bad, and it's a Boltyn card, so like why not, you know? So yeah, these are the card choices. Cleansing Light says we don't really care about the first text, where if a card is being put into your soul, you may play it as though it's an instant, unless you really want to try a Soul Shield into Cleansing Light, sure, but it destroys the target blue aura for Iyslander. The problem, just the Frost Hexes, and what I've learned is just destroy the Frost Hexes, don't destroy anything else. If you destroy Insidious Shield, they just set up their Frost Hex and kill you. Like, there's literally no time, just destroy the Frost Hex. Every single time I've destroyed an Insidious Q, I have died, so don't, just destroy the Frost Hex, alright? Steel Blade Shan, great D-React, it goes into almost every matchup. Yes, questionable card choices in this aspect are 2 cards. You have the Censor, which once again, if you aren't a great if you don't really have a lot of card knowledge, because I spent a lot of time looking through deck lists and like playing with people and memorizing card names. Like I thought like I had to go and ask what Bramble Spark was, and I thought it was another card and stuff like that. So yeah, Censor. The other card choice that is very questionable here is Hold the Line. Both Fenfei and Yontek said that they are not very good in trees. Like I should run 2 or 1, or like a blue block 3, or even a Final Fighting Spirit blue, right? And then it gains me the life. This is a meta choice. I decided to choose this because I believe the adrenaline rush, the value of how fun it is to play when your opponent out of wars and then you hold the line and stuff like that. It's so cool. Like being able to zero block 5, like that value in, I think I had fun playing the card, and I think that's what's important. It isn't good. It's not the most optimal choice, obviously. Hold the line isn't good into Bravo. It isn't good into Azalea. It isn't good into almost every other hero that doesn't run out of war or Tree of a Kind. But when if it does proc, it's so freaking fun. So yeah, if you had to, these are the two questionable card choices that I play because they are so fun, and I really like them lah. Where if I was trying to optimally min-max the competition, Sensor I will still put in because I like it a lot with the Tunic activation. But with Hold the Line here, it would be another blue. The reason why it wouldn't be another red is because I want the 34 blues for the Iyslander matchup. Yeah, the 34 blues. So having a high blue count really matters into Iyslander because you're just pitching blues to just nullify the attack. We'll get into the matchup guide a bit later, but yes, Hold the Line, awesome card. I really like it. I suggest you guys give it a try. Maybe cut it down to 2 copies or 1 copies if you really want it, but I want it to proc as often as possible, and I really want to showcase the card. So Hold the Line, yes, awesome card. I'm really just huffing a lot of copium here. A Heart of Finder, it's just gain a life. Or every fatigue deck runs it, so it's just in the deck. Alright, with that, we can go on to the matchup guides. For the matchup guides, I'm only going through 2 matchups. They are the reasons why I built the deck for, which is Iyslander and Lexi. Even though I lost to both of them in the competition, they were part of my 4 losses. But yes, I lost 1 to Lexi, 1 to Iyslander. I really believe that against... Okay, the Lexi that I played against was like one of the top Lexis in Singapore. Like he won the competition. The Iyslander I played against was the finalist in the competition. So like, yes, okay. But I really believe that if you bring this to your armory and stuff like that, the Lexi and the Iyslander matchup, especially if they don't know what you're doing in the because it's 3 rounds, right? They don't know you're on fatigue Boltyn. If you did some psyops and played hybrid Boltyn the past few weeks, and then you go there with X Boltyn, then it's unexpected. They don't really account for the fatigue package. I really believe that this deck is built and tuned to fight those decks. So yeah, let's take a look at the matchup guide. Alright, let's start with the basics. You always choose to go first if you can. If you lose the die roll, then it's fine, go second. The reason you want to go first is just because of the Tunic and just because of the D-React in Arsenal that you can put. Yeah, just to be able to start playing defensive as fast as possible. You always choose to block even if you could swing back because our life matters more than theirs. When you're playing Fatigue, what I learned from Team Galaxy Brain, they have a YouTube video called The Fatigue Mindset, and what they explain is just because we're playing Fatigue and we're playing a passive Fatigue where we want them to hit us, our life total is more important. So once again, I reiterate, if you the way to play this deck is if they attack you, you block. If they attack you, you block. That's it. Don't save a card in hand to X. It's not very efficient to do that. Just do it when you are when they take an off turn. Alright, pitch D-Rex down in conjunction with opponent's crucial attacks. This one I learned from Lu Wei when he was playing the skirmish season. So like, for example, if I see an out of war pitched, I'm pitching a Hold the Line. If I see a Tor attack being pitched like a Crippling Crush, I pitch the Steel Blade Shunt and stuff like that. It's a lot of things to remember when you're playing this deck, so if you forget about this, it's fine. How I usually counteract it is I always have a D-React in Arsenal anyways, so it's it gives you a small chance, like a small increase in your win chance, but I don't really think it's that crucial. Once again, never Arsenal buff cards ever, and they are not worth the damage. I think if you read this, it better explains it than just now I explained it. Using Faith Foreseen and Sing Below to dig for life gain. Yes, okay. Funfei taught me how to use censor, which was to censor given information. So if Lexi has 2 arsenals and one is face down, one is face up, you name the face up arrow. This math changes if, let's say, you know their deck, or their deck is so thin that you can tell which arrows are coming up. or you know that there is one more Rain Razor, or like one more Art of War, one more Razor Reflex or something like that, then you name that card that you're most afraid of. It really helps you counter. Like for example, against Katsu, right? I'm very scared of Razor Reflex. Naming Razor Reflex means I don't have to play around that card the entire of the next turn, which is great. It helps me block better as well. If the opponent knows your game plan is to fatigue, which they would know by second or third round, then you put the Remembrance in. Alright, moving on to the Lexi Matchup. Okay, key cards to name with Sensor. It's Rain Razor, Trio, Codex of Frailty, Codex of Inertia. I wouldn't name the codexes. I think, yeah, once again, always name the known information, which could be the board and short, which could be the arsenal that's face up in their arsenal. The card that's face up in the arsenal. You will always have a card in arsenal because of you don't want to give them any value from the codex. The how they leak damage in that matchup is they codex, dropping your last card in hand, and then they just leak like 8 or 5 damage with an infecting shot and give you the blood rod and stuff like that. Codex of Inertia is very annoying because they use that and then they clear your arsenal and opens you up to makes you vulnerable to codex the following turn. The good Lexis, what they do is they will codex and then do it into a CNC to clear the arsenal if they know that you have a D-Ray and arsenal, which really counteracts the plan. But if we're really scared of that, we can put Oasis Respite, or what Fenfei told me was to put Oasis Respite in there. If they're not taking back a CNC, then you could take back your own CNC to try and get them off their 5 card hands, because their 5 card hands are very crucial in pushing damage through your defenses. Keeping track of your opponent's pitch. Sometimes when they pitch a red or a yellow or a blue, right? So if they pitch a blue, they most likely can swing two or more arrows. If they pitch a red, it means that their turn is not going to be very good. If they pitch a yellow, it probably means that maybe both of their attacks are zero cost. So keeping track of their pitch, making sure you know what arrows they can swing, they can attack with, whether it's a 0 cost arrow or a 1 cost arrow, really helps you to plan your D-Reacts. If you know they can swing a 1 cost arrow, then you keep the Steel Blade Shan, for example, because the 1 cost arrow have a 5 to 6 attack range, while the 0 cost arrows has a 4 and above range, so you could keep the Sing Below and your Fate Foreseen for that particular arrow. Keeping track of pitch stacks like Rain Razors to see when they're coming up, just normal things that you do when you fight Lexi. Never block Falcon Wing unless they have like a 2-card hand or something. My theory or what Fenfei told me, and Fenfei told me never to block Falcon Wing if they have a 5 to 6 card hand, which they are mostly on 5 to 6 card hands. So never block Falcon Wing. Don't block blow and shot if they have an arsenal because it does nothing. It's a non-on-hit arrow. Don't block drill shot if you already have been, like, if all your equipments are already used up. You never let Fuse Frostlock hits because of the 0 cost D-React, so it shuts down your sync, your fates. If it's Fuse it shuts down your syncs, your fates. Frostlock is very annoying because you can't Tunic to shunt. But what you can do is Tunic in response to them playing Frostlock and fusing with it, so that you can play a 0 cost D-React. Because the effect is only active when it resolves. So you can do it on the stack. And then hold the line in Arsenal for 3 of a kind. The reason why I'm on the hold the line Copian is because when they 3 of a kind, they can't codex. They usually can't do it unless that's the other card in the arsenal. So if they can't codex, it means that I can hold the line and block for 0 for 5 from arsenal and not be afraid of a codex. So fun when they do it. Has it triggered? Nope. I mean, I only fight one Lexi match, but it didn't trigger that match, so it was a 0 block 2 the entire game. But it's okay, guys. Hold the line is great. Yes, I'm on Copium. You don't like it, change it to another card. It's completely fine. If they are on Sunken Treasures, CNC is completely useless. Just block with it. I find myself blocking with CNC about half the time, depending on whether they keep an 1 card in arsenal or 2. If they're on Sunken, I wouldn't CNC at all. This one Wei Jie taught me the last rule. That is one of the most important rules. You never be overconfident against Lexi. If you are 20 life ahead for some reason, you never keep a hand to felling swing for 10. Never ever. Don't do that. It's the stupidest mistake I've ever made in my life. No. Okay, you block and you block and you block because you can't out damage them. They just need one turn where you are off balance to just kill you. No, don't give up. Like, yeah, just block. Stick to your game plan. Don't be complacent. Don't You just have the discipline to block. Don't be like me. Don't be like me who pitch 2 blues to felling swing for 10 and then 20 30 damage back in return. Don't be like me. Okay, so this is the general Lexi matchup. I think it's pretty good. It depends on how the more prepared the Lexi is, the lower your chances. But even so, I feel that if you remembrance back the CNCs and you play it right, you censor calling the right card and stuff like that, it's a very winnable matchup. And that's what the deck is built for. And it's one of my more confident matchups, Lexi and Iyslander. But when it comes to the top tables and stuff, that's where it starts to get tricky because you're playing against Lexis that are of a higher skill level. Next, Iyslander. I was pretty confident in the matchup in Iyslander because of the cleansing light. But yes, we have learned that if they strip you of your now rune by exposing to the elements, then you just cry and you lose the game. Yes, I have been scarred for life. Okay, but anyways, Frost Hex, Insidious Shield, Emeritus Scolding, Icebot, Eta Ice Vein. So those are your key cards. Why I name Emeritus Scolding and Icebot and Eta Ice Vein, those are the only way they leak damage. Emeritus Scolding leaks for 6, right? So if they manage to throw a Wounded Bull or a Fighting Spirit first, then they will leak more arcane damage from that side. Icebolt also leaks 6 damage. Eta Ice Vein theoretically can also leak with the raids. So those are the key cards that you keep track of, because once they run out of those cards, they are not a threat. Because every turn you can just nullify the damage they throw at you with your now rune. Frost Hex, once again, don't learn from me. In the matchup in the semis, what I did was I blew up the Insidious Chill. Yeah, don't do that. You see, even in my notes, I put Arsenal Cleansing Light to destroy Frost Hex only. But what did I do? I went to destroy the Insidious Chill. Why? Because I saw him pitch 2 Frost Hexes, but apparently, yeah, he cycles through his deck faster than me. So yes, only destroy Frost Hex. You take note of the cards they play. If they play Freezing Point, then you have to be more careful regarding breaking Frostbites in terms of the Ice Eternal Frostbites and stuff. Always have a blue in hand when swinging Axe, gaining life. If you have 1 blue in hand, you pass the turn. If you have 2 blues in hand, you ask yourself whether you are willing to swing the Axe, because if you swing the Axe, you have 3 the other blue to save you 3 damage from whatever they throw at you. One of the things that you need to be comfortable with is seeing whether their tunic is up. If their tunic is up, it might mean an Emeritus Scolding, it might mean an Ice Bolt, which makes it less likely you would swing, because that's the highest ceiling, right? The Emeritus Scolding is 4 and then 3. Ice Bolt is 3 and 3 with the tunic. So sometimes it might just be worth to just pass the turn. And instead of swinging Axe. Once again, you never swing Axe unless you have another blue in hand to try and cover that. Okay, if they swing at you with Wounded Bull, Final Fighting Spirit stuff, you block with 2 cards. And then you keep the 2 blues in hand for the next turn. For on your turn. And then you decide whether you want to swing the Axe. Most of the time I would tend to swing the Axe, because I am confident in the game plan, which is if I have 2 blues in hand, I swing the Axe. And the max damage they can leak from that is 4 from Emeritus Scolding. Or is it Scalding? I'm pretty sure it's Scolding. But anyways, yeah, that's a very key thing you have to remember. Always have a blue in hand. Whether you are gaining life or swinging Axe, always have a blue in hand. You have to pitch blues to 0 cost first to negate Brain Freeze. It's a very minor thing. Like at most they Brain Freeze you remove 1 card, and then you pitch to now the Waning Moon. Nothing much happens from there. But yes, it's kind of important. It comes in handy sometimes, but don't use all of your brain power on looking at the cards and be like, oh, this is a 0 cost, I'll pitch it first. Using tuning to break frost hex is only matters when there's 2 or more frost hex, but it's a good habit. Also another thing where sometimes when they already ice eternal you and it's on your turn, don't break the frostbites. The reason being, like, I would play it safe and don't break the frostbites and just pass, because if I were to use tunic and pay for tunic to break the frostbites, what they can do if they're good and skilled is they would stack the ice eternal on the frostbites and do you that amount of massive damage first, before, and then followed by the frostbites pinging you for 1 with the frost hex. So what I would rather do is just not break the frostbites, pitch for the frost hex, and then just pass back the turn. Is that mathematically correct? I believe so. Yeah, it also comes in, like, if they're running freezing point, I would wait for the freezing point to come out before breaking the frost hex, before breaking the frostbites, because by tunicking and breaking it like preemptively, it gives them they can play with the stack, and that's not great. Something else, get rid of raids by discarding them to Aether Ice Vein, Insidious Chill, Coronet Pick. If they Coronet Pick me, I'm very happy, I'll discard the raids. Sharpened Steel is a card that is in the sideboard, like it's in the main board for the deck, because I don't really have that many blues. So sometimes if I have a Sharpened Steel and a blue in hand, I'll play the Sharpened Steel and pass the turn. Once again, never swing Axe unless you have another blue in hand. I just throw away just try and clear your deck so that your entire deck is blues. And you remembrance your life gain. So what happens is you just keep gaining life with the Sigil of Solace and the other 3, Healing Balm and Sunkeys, right? That's 9. Then you have 18 more life to play with. Just keep doing that, and then once they run out of Meritus Scolding, once they run out of Ice Bolt, once they run out of Ice Vein, Aether Ice Vein, what you do is, there's a typo, Aether Ice Vein doesn't have E, but anyways, what you do is, after they run out of those, you remembrance back the life gain, you gain back 9 life, and then you can start swinging Axe, because all they can do after that is just, at most it's a Aether, what is it called? The one where it's a, what is it called? At most they can Frosting you, or Aether, the one where it's a blue 1 cost, swing you for 2. Yeah, so once their damage capability goes low with Emeritus Scolding, Ice Bolt, and Aether Ice Vein, all you got to do is remembrance back your life gain back the life, and then just start swinging out X. Always remember to keep a blue in hand. That's the way you win. You keep a blue in hand. That's it. Keep a blue in hand. Don't overextend. Sometimes you don't have to swing the X. It's okay. We're not trying to kill them by damage. We're trying to wait for their cards to go missing. I don't think Icelanders are running remembrances now. They might not. I feel like the reason I lost in the if you guys go and look back in the semi-finals, it was the exposed to the elements, and ways to counter around that is to play energy potions or stuff like that. But an E-pot in a deck that is a full fatigue trying to block you out deck might not be great. Theoretically possible if you remove Hold the Line, yes, but Hold the Line, yes, theoretically possible, but without the expose, I think, like, if the Iyslander doesn't know you're on this deck, or the Iyslander doesn't know how to play well, he's not a great Iyslander, if the Iyslander doesn't run expose and stuff, I truly believe that this deck beats Iyslander. So yeah, that's the 2 main matchups that I prepared for when it came to like building this deck around. I just really wanted to tell the Iyslander, or like any Iyslander I meet, that haha, you always bully Boltyn, now I can bully you. But yes, I would talk about Briar, but she's gonna LL, you'll never see her again, thank goodness. I will talk about Bravo, but with the Bravo matchup, it is just swing. It's just trading damage. You really want to trade damage, because at the end of the day, their cards have more value than yours. So you push, you got Felling Swing, you push, keep a Tordiria and Arsenal, and just keep pushing damage. And then when it comes down to the lower life totals, that's when your X really shines. What are the matchups? What are the matchups that you fatigue by damage? Katsu, you fatigue by damage, I feel. Like, at the end of the day, they can always Kodachi. And so I am quite open to trading. Am I? I didn't really have a lot of experience in the Katsu matchup, but what I realized is that it will always go down to both of us at low life, and then I getting killed by Kodachi. So that's the Katsu matchup. Azalea, pretty simple. If they dread ball, you cry. But once again, then the lack of information on their part really helps you to really make this deck shines. You don't go screaming to everyone that you play Boltyn. You play hybrid for a bit and then you switch to an X. You play hybrid for a bit and then switch to an X to just keep them guessing. Dash. Oh, right. Well, bad matchups. Extremely bad matchups. You have your Dash, your Dromai, and your Kano. So, oh wow, these pictures are low res, but it's okay. Okay, so Dash, once they know what you're doing, they would set up pistol and shoot you. But maybe in the first few rounds, they don't. They look at you on Boltyn and they think combo, and then they go for the race. And then you win by that. There is theoretically, I was building a deck which allowed me to hybrid from Decimator and Sabers, but I didn't have enough time to test it, and that deck was really built to help with the Dash matchup as well as the what matchup does it help with? As long as with the Fatigue Briar matchup. But with Fatigue Briar gone, maybe like it isn't as relevant, but with Dash and Bright Lights, it would come in handy to. I would continue exploring the Sabers Decimator build, the hybrid. Dromai just scoop, not worth. Don't waste your time. Once they rake the embers, and you self-fatigue with every charge card, like even in normal Boltyn with the Radiant, it isn't a great matchup either. Like, so I'm quite comfortable with giving up the matchup because anyways normal Boltyn already does. Yeah, I don't see a reason why you run poppers into, like, you don't. This deck list is already so tight that I'm not gonna run 6 attacks or 7 attacks just to pop the dragons. I just give up the matchup and just go for lunch, or like just go and have fun, walk around. Like Dromai, illusionist things, just leave it. It's okay, you don't have to win every matchup. Kano here depends on the skill of the Kano. If they know how to stack, they'll Aether Wildfire you like 3 times and you die, which is basically every Singaporean Kano player. But maybe in your meta, Kano isn't that powerful. Then you just keep an Oasis Respite in Arsenal and just swing the Axe, keeping a blue in hand to nullify the arcane damage and stuff. So yeah, those are the matchup guides. I do have a Google Doc with every single matchup guide and every single thing to take note. It's just very messy and I haven't really established that yet. I might put it in the description. If it isn't there, you can just hit me up on Discord at Beef the Noob. Yep. And then yeah, you can find me there. I would really appreciate a follow on my Twitter account and stuff like that. I post comics, I post Boltyn. I main Boltyn, so mostly Boltyn videos, unless I feel like playing Arachne and stuff like that. But yeah, I do appreciate everyone's support in this. I really had fun in the nationals. I don't know whether I'm going for worlds, but yeah, once again, huge shout out to the people that got me here, the people that really played an amazing part in my journey lah. And with that, I will see you another time. I'm gonna take a break from Fat for a bit. Bye bye.